Welcome back to the Transfer Roundup, where we dive into the biggest stories that have made headlines around Arsenal in the transfer market throughout the week. In this one, we have a lot of things that happened. Xavi Simons, Yosuke Kimich, Victor Gyökeres, and a couple of other stars that have been linked with the club throughout the 7 days. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Which one has been your biggest story, and which one do you think has been realistic, and which ones do you think they're just talking about them, they're never happening? Let's start off with some of the confirmed deals and done deals, because two players again have been let go by Arsenal. That is goalkeeper Arthur Okonkwo, who has been out on loan. He's not going to be returning to Arsenal. He's going to leave on a permanent. That is confirmed. The player also came out and said, it was a very good time to stay at Arsenal. It was a very, very good experience for me to be part of the Arsenal youth system. However, I've got to move on and I've got to find somewhere else to play football. So Arthur Okonkwo was one of the young goalkeepers that we thought Arsenal could have integrated into the system, maybe as a third goalkeeper or as a fourth choice goalkeeper, but he's decided to leave the club on a free. Another goalkeeper, another player, actually youngster, that is leaving Arsenal is Cossy. This one has actually caused a lot of debate when it comes to the Arsenal fan base. He's one of those players that really look like Saka. He plays like Saka, and we thought maybe after Bukayo Saka, after Ethan Nwaneri, Cossy, and players like Walters were going to be upgraded and reintegrated as well into the Arsenal squad. However, Cossy has decided to leave Arsenal on a free as well, and that is my problem with Arsenal. Why are these youngsters leaving on a free? So as far as confirmed deals and done deals, those are the two ones that Arsenal have decided to let go. Karl Hein has signed a new deal. He's going to be Arsenal's third choice goalkeeper, maybe for the future. He might go out on loan, but he's signed a new deal, and he's one of those youngsters that are going to stay at Arsenal for quite some more time. So in terms of what Arsenal have done or accomplished, not much this week, but at least we can say one or two deals have been decided. Two players have been left to go on a free, which doesn't really make me happy, but one has been kept, and that is one of the things that we have accomplished this week. In terms of the big news, in terms of the incomings, let's start off with Nico Williams. This week it's been crazy around Nico Williams. Fabrizio Romano was the first one to come out and confirm that Arsenal are big admirers of Nico Williams, but he also didn't end there. He said the Arsenal have had contact between them and the agent of the player, but this situation is going to be definitely worked on after the Euros, not before the Euros, not during the Euros. Now, the problem with the Nico Williams deal is that Arsenal are very big admirers, so are Chelsea, so are Barcelona, and so are Liverpool. There's a bit of competition in there, here and there, but I would still say that Arsenal are maybe one or two of the priorities of the player. He's just signed a new deal. His release clause is 58 million euros, which will be wanted very, very, very quickly. Much of that money has to be paid up front, and that could be the problem that Arsenal face in this deal. But I think it's a good deal. Arsenal have explored it for quite some time, and probably they think it's a deal they could do. So Nico Williams this week has been in the news for quite a very, very substantial amount, especially regarding Arsenal and Chelsea. Chelsea were being thought to turn to Nico Williams after missing out on Michael Olise, but looks like the player wants around 200k in wages per week. That might be a little bit disruptive to Arsenal, but Chelsea are saying we are not giving Nico Williams 200k per week in terms of wages. So that could leave Arsenal as sole runners, because again, I don't see Barcelona paying him 200k per week. I don't see Liverpool pay him 200k per week as well. So if Arsenal are willing to pay Nico Williams 200,000 per week, then that is a deal that could happen. But of course, the biggest stories on that one is that after the Euros, Arsenal will get to know whether the player is going to be signing for us or not. Secondly, we will also know whether he stays at Atletico Bilbao or not. The next story is also at with a player at the Euros, and that is Xavi Simons. Now, with Xavi Simons, it has been progressive, really, really progressive till today, when he has made up his decision and he said, "I'm now ready to leave Paris Saint-Germain. I'm not going to stay." This is a decision that most of us expected, given the fact that I've been following this deal quite a lot throughout the week. I really felt like Xavi Simons was not going to stay at Paris Saint-Germain. So today, according to Florian Plettenberg and Fabrizio Romano, both of them can confirm that the player has told Bayern Munich, Leipzig, Arsenal, and a couple of other suitors that he's not going to be staying at Paris Saint-Germain, and therefore anyone can send in their bids, anyone can talk to his agents. After the Euros, we are going to know his decision. Also, another very important key detail in this one, confirmed today, is that there will not be a permanent sale for the player before June 2025. So Arsenal, Leipzig, Bayern, all of these clubs are going to try to get him on loan, probably with a loan with an obligation to buy. That could happen, or something else. But at the moment, there is nothing happening with Xavi Simons. It is until after the Euros. A player I like, a player I really feel like Arsenal should go and sign, a good deal as well, but after the Yarz. After that, let's dive into the Viktor Gyökeres story, which has been catching up and down. I've done a couple of clips on him. You can go and check them out and see for yourself what has been coming out throughout the week. Why are Arsenal really trending with Viktor Gyökeres? Well, let me give you the reason now. Throughout this week, we have had reports from Portugal confirming that Viktor Gyökeres is very close to joining Arsenal. The Arsenal and Sporting Lisbon have been locked in talks about Viktor Gyökeres, and there has been a fee agreed. The fee is around 90 million euros in terms of fixed payments or guaranteed payments, and Arsenal will have a couple of add-ons to add to that money, around 30 million euros, to make the deal 120 million euros. Also, it is being said that the add-ons will depend on the performances of the player, number of goals he scored, number of games he's played, and also his performances in the UEFA Champions League, and where Arsenal get to the stages of the UEFA Champions League. A few sources have said this is not true. A few people have said this is true. Again, I wouldn't say it's 100% false, and I wouldn't say it's 100% non-true. But what we can confirm is that this week Arsenal do have that green light from the player's side. He would love to sign for us. He would like to play for us. It's just about us agreeing a deal with Sporting Lisbon. Now, question, and very, very big question. Again, this week we've had a lot of talk with Italian outlets talking about Victor Osimhen. I think with Victor Osimhen, Arsenal's interest in there, but we are still waiting for that price to come down. Jacob Benz confirming that the Arsenal will wait until the price for Victor Osimhen comes down. Otherwise, they have nothing to do with that deal. It's something with Bruno Guimaraes. There's something with Isaac or Isak at Newcastle. If all these players are going to go for 90 million, 100 million, Arsenal have nothing to do about them. So the striker situation has been quite, gloomy in a little bit. That's what I would say. You've had stories on Osimhen giving you a little bit of hope, but then the price tag doesn't really come down. Napoli are willing to negotiate, but they're only willing to go as far as 90 million. So again, Arsenal are not paying 90 million. Viktor Gyökeres, is it true? Let's wait and see next week if something actually comes out. Now, Arsenal have already pulled away from the Joshua Zirkzee story and the Joshua Zirkzee situation. It's Man United, it's AC Milan, and maybe a couple of other clubs that are interested. But at the moment, Arsenal are not trying to sign Joshua Zirkzee. His release clause is a little bit interesting, like around 34 million. But maybe Arsenal think he is not the one. After being rejected by Benjamin Šeško last week, this week Arsenal have decided Zirkzee is not the player we will go for in terms of Arsenal looking for a striker as well. We have had one player that has told Arsenal he would love to leave, and that player is Reiss Nelson. Again, this came out from The Athletic and David Ornstein, confirming that Reiss Nelson has told Arsenal he would love to assess his options. A couple of clubs are already coming in for Reiss Nelson. The moment that actually came out, Fulham, Nottingham Forest, Brighton, West Ham, Crystal Palace, and Leicester City. The key point in that article is that Arsenal are willing to sell. Should they be? I think we are willing to sell. I don't know. At around 20 million plus add-on. So I'm assuming it's around 22 to 25 million euros. Couple of clubs want him. We have not really received any solid offers, any big offers for Reiss Nelson, but I highly presume that this is a deal we are going to see happen maybe early July or even later this month. Where should Reiss Nelson go? In my opinion, to a club like Leicester City, because they have the money, They're coming in from the championship. They've made some money, haven't they? And that means that they will be able to spend around 20, 25. But I can also see him at Crystal Palace with Michael Olise leaving for around 60 million euros. They could be able to part ways with around 20 of that and sign Reiss Nelson. But of course, the key highlight of this week is that Reiss Nelson has told Arsenal, hey guys, I want to leave. I don't think I'm going to play football. I don't think this is the club for me for the future. I'm going to leave, and I'm going to leave this summer. Arsenal have also been told by Yosuke Kimich and a couple of other clubs as well that are interested that he is available and Bayern are ready to sell. This is a massive opportunity, obviously, on the market. When a player like Yosuke Kimich says, I'm available. When Bayern say that a player like Yosuke Kimich is available, that is clap hands for Jesus. Honestly, I think Yosuke Kimich is a quality player, and Bayern are fearful that the introduction of Joao Palhinha and the introduction of a new system with Vicente Kompany doing around 6, 7, 8 signings, we might see a drop-off in some players, but we might also see a bit of casualties to that Bayern side or in that Bayern squad. So one of the casualties, which I think is a massive mistake, by the way, one of the casualties should be Yosuke Kimich, and Bayern are prepared to sell this summer or let him go on a free next summer. Arsenal should be on the high alert. A deal could be struck between 20 to 30 million euros, and Arsenal, obviously from the Athletic, we have made sure that everyone knows our priority this summer is a number 6. We're not signing a number 8. We're not signing a striker as priority. We could get one of those things, but one of those players, okay. But not as priority. The priority is to get in a number 6. So Yosuke Kimich, as we talk about the next number 6 at Arsenal, Kimich is definitely among the players that Arsenal are looking at. Still, Amadi Onana is one of the other players that have been linked strongly with Arsenal since the story came out that we are looking to sign a number 6. And with Amadi Onana, it is an ex-CEO at Everton who came out and said, sense or no sense, depends. He's come out and said, when I look at the sources I have, Arsenal are the club looking to sign Amadi Onana, and I think he's the one that is going to be sold this summer by Everton. Something could develop there, whether there is a takeover at Everton or not. Now, that one is a story I really, really, really like to hear, but for me, Amadi Onana doesn't come before Kimich in the pecking order. But what I would say here with Amadi Onana is that Mikel Arteta loves young players, Premier League proven players, and of course he's got long legs, he's got that physicality, he's got that energy to run the midfield. I can see him as a deal that Arsenal do. He's not very far away from when Arsenal wanted Declan Rice. It's not very far away from when Arsenal wanted Ben White. That kind of profile that you just feel this one is going to be at Arsenal next season. So I have vibes of Onana will be at Arsenal next season, but at the moment, if Kimich is available, give me Kimich. You can keep that Onana for later. But of course, Everton are bracing themselves for around 50 million. That is also public now. Still in that midfield position, Arsenal have been reported to be interested in Eberechi Eze this week, with Team News Antics confirming that 2 separate accounts have told him that are very, very close to Arsenal, have told him that the player is a big admiration for Mikel Arteta, but also for a couple of people inside Arsenal. Eberechi Eze can play as a 10, can play as an 8, can play on the left wing and also on the right wing. Now, I'm not going to give my opinion on this one. One thing I would say is that the player really likes Arsenal, and we are also in the Champions League. Tottenham are the ones that have been thought to be leading that race to sign Eberechi Eze. But of course, if Arsenal come in there with UEFA Champions League, it's about distressed things, right? So if we go in there with some distressed energy, we might actually be able to scoop him away from Tottenham. Again, with Eberechi Eze, he's got a release clause of around 60 million. But much of that money has to be paid right up front. So if Arsenal are going to pay 60 million, we might have to pay around 45 million up front on that fee. So let's wait and see if Arsenal are really serious about Eberechi Eze to actually go and pay all that money at once. Right, moving into some of the other news that have been broken this week. The Athletic did confirm, apart from confirming the Arsenal going for a number 6, the Athletic and Fabrizio Romano confirmed that Arsenal have a very clear plan of what they want to do this summer. It is just that they also have to make some sales, and maybe at the moment, Arsenal not selling is getting in the way of us doing some, deals or doing a couple of deals. So we might see Arsenal doing some deals in June, especially in terms of outgoings, early July, especially in terms of outgoings, and then starting 14th July, we might see incomings starting to flow in. But of course, Fabrizio says that a couple of clubs as well, even the Athletic also collaborate the story. A couple of clubs are trying to get on the right-hand side of PSR and FFP. So if you're seeing your club doing crazy signings, like Newcastle signing Dominic Calvert-Lewin and then sending some distressed player to Everton, just understand that it is a distressed PSR FFP transfer window. So lots of stories moving around. Arsenal, I've done a very good job in terms of keeping you posted, but also in terms of making sure that I do analysis on players. So if you feel like the rumors are really going on too much, how about you sit down, you watch some of the analysis on some of the players that we're interested in that could give you a fresher look at the market. And I'll see you next Sunday for the transfer roundup. Obviously, tomorrow we are back with reactions to the latest stories, to the latest news, and also with the Cossy and Glenn podcast. Good night.